Let's be real. We've all had that one friend. The one who only calls when they need something. The one who disappears when you need help. The one who claps for you just a little too slow. And today, you're done being the nice one who gets walked over. This is your wake-up call. Selfish friends are not just toxic. They are silent dream killers. And honey, it's time to clean your circle before you clean your tears. You keep making excuses for them. They're just going through something. Oh, maybe they didn't mean it that way. I know they ignored my call, but maybe they're busy. Stop. At some point, you have to ask yourself, how many times are you going to let someone step on your boundaries while you label it as love or loyalty or friendship? Making excuses for bad behavior is like putting sugar on poison. It might taste better for a second, but it's still going to kill something inside you. Look around you. Your time is valuable. Your love is powerful. Your presence is a gift. So why are you offering it to people who treat it like it's disposable? Imagine this. You have a friend who constantly cancels on plans. They forget your birthday. They don't show up when you're in crisis. But the moment they're down, you're the first person they call. And you always answer. You show up with food, with love, with patience. And deep down, you're hoping that one day they'll return the favor. But let's be real. Have they ever? That's not friendship. That's emotional slavery masked as kindness. And you, yes you, deserve better than that. Sometimes we hold on to people not because they're good for us, but because we're afraid of being alone. But being alone and at peace is far more powerful than being surrounded by people who drain your soul and call it just being real. You're not a rehab center for broken people who refuse to change. You're not a punching bag for their moods. And you're not a doormat for someone who only wipes their feet when life gets messy. Let me tell you a little story. There was a girl I knew who would drop everything when her friend called. At 2 a.m., she was driving across the city to pick her up. She skipped her own job interview once just to be at her friend's side for a breakup. But when she cried, silence. When she needed help, sorry, I'm busy. You know what the worst part was? She kept defending it. She's just not good at expressing emotion. No, babe. She's just not good at giving a damn. Excusing bad behavior is like lighting yourself on fire to keep others warm and then apologizing for the ashes. It could be as simple as a friend constantly gossiping about others and you ignore it. You tell yourself, at least they're not talking about me. But if they can talk that easily about everyone else, don't be surprised when your name is next. Loyalty is not a part-time personality trait. It's a full-time commitment. Or maybe it's that friend who always dismisses your achievements. You get a promotion and they say, must be nice to have luck on your side. You buy a car and they say, let's see how long that lasts. And still, you tell yourself, maybe they're just insecure. No, they're not insecure. They're selfish. And your constant forgiveness is feeding their ego. Here's the truth no one tells you. If someone makes you feel like too much, it's because they're not enough for you. And if they can't clap when you win, cry when you fall, or show up when it matters, then their friendship isn't real. It's just convenience, wrapped in manipulation. Stop handing out second chances like candy to people who choked on the first one and blamed you for it. Every time you excuse their behavior, you delay your own healing. Every time you give them a pass, you steal from your own peace. It's time to stop explaining away someone else's selfishness as your compassion. Because compassion without boundaries is just self-destruction in slow motion. You are not overreacting. You are not being dramatic. you are recognizing your worth. And that's the most powerful thing you'll ever do. Your energy is your currency. It's your emotional bank account. And every conversation, every text, every interaction, you're either depositing peace or you're draining power. That's why you've got to protect your energy like it's gold. Because darling, it is. You wouldn't hand your ATM card to a stranger on the street, right? Then why are you letting emotional freeloaders withdraw from your soul like you owe them something? You wake up in the morning fresh and full of intention. Then someone calls you with their drama. Another person dumps their problems on you like you're their personal therapist. You scroll through social media and compare your life to someone's highlight reel. By 10 a.m., your peace is gone. And you don't even know where it went. You see, energy is not infinite. You get what you protect. And some people don't come to be healed, they come to infect. Imagine this. You're having a good day. You're focused, energized. Then your so-called friend calls. Not to check on you, but to vent for the 50th time about a guy she refuses to walk away from. She doesn't ask how you are. She just takes. Again, you hang up feeling drained. You didn't solve anything. You just carried someone else's emotional luggage through your own hallway. That's theft. Emotional theft. And you're allowing it. There's a difference between being kind and being used. Being compassionate doesn't mean being a container for other people's chaos. Your peace is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. Let me take you to another scene. You're at a family dinner. Your people are talking about your dreams, still doing that little business of yours. Maybe you should get a real job. And instead of walking away or defending your worth, you laugh it off. Again. Why? Because you've been taught to respect everyone but yourself. No more. You don't owe anyone your silence. You don't owe anyone your energy just because they share your last name or childhood memories. People say, you've changed. Yes, you have. You've stopped giving your gold to people who bring rust. You've stopped shrinking to fit into spaces that were never built for your power. You want to glow? Protect your light. You want to grow? Guard your space. Every time you say yes to someone draining, you say no to yourself. Even in the workplace, this shows up. You're always the one covering shifts, taking on extra work, helping that one co-worker who just forgot again. But when it's your turn to need something, silence. Your energy isn't appreciated. It's expected. And expectations without appreciation are exploitation. Start treating your emotional space like an exclusive event. Not everyone gets an invite. Not everyone gets backstage access. Let some people stay in the audience, far back, behind the ropes, where their energy can't touch yours. You're not being mean for saying no. You're being wise. You're not being distant for protecting your vibe. You're building peace, brick by brick. And no, you don't need to explain why you're unavailable. Your peace doesn't come with a permission slip. It comes with intention. And intention means saying, I love you, but I love myself more. I hear you, but I don't need to carry you. I see your pain, but I will not bleed with you. You don't need to respond to every message. You don't need to fix every broken person. You don't need to light every room you walk into. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. And just walk away. This isn't about being selfish. This is about being so full of self-respect that your energy becomes a fortress, not a revolving door, not a dumping ground, but a sanctuary that only the worthy are allowed to enter. You cannot heal someone who's addicted to their own chaos. You cannot fix a person who finds comfort in being broken. And you, yes, you, are not a savior. You're not a therapist. You're not a rescue mission wrapped in kindness. Some people don't want to change. They say they do, but they don't. They want to vent. They want attention. They want sympathy. But they don't want accountability. Who keeps getting into toxic relationships? You sit them down, pour your heart out, give advice from every angle, emotional, logical, even spiritual. They nod, they cry, they say, "You're right, I deserve better." But the next night, they're back with the same person who keeps breaking them. You feel exhausted, don't you? Because you're investing in a transformation they're not ready to make. It's like planting seeds in concrete and wondering why nothing's growing. The soil, the person, has to be ready, willing, open. But some people are in love with their wounds. They've worn their pain so long, it's become their identity. Take it away, and they won't know who they are anymore. You have to understand, helping someone is only noble when it doesn't destroy you in the process. You're not heartless for walking away. You're not cold for saying, "I can't keep doing this." You're human. And you're finally choosing your sanity over someone else's patterns. Let me give you an example. There was a woman I knew. Strong, beautiful, wise. She kept dating a man who lied, cheated, manipulated. Her friends warned her. Her family begged her. But she believed in his potential. She thought, maybe if I love him harder, maybe if I'm patient, maybe if I fix what's broken in him. Years passed. He didn't change. She just lost pieces of herself trying. Because loving someone doesn't mean you should lose yourself in the process of saving them. You see it at work too. You're always helping that one co-worker who's constantly late, unprepared, disorganized. You stay behind to fix their mistakes. Cover for them. One day, you miss your own deadline because you were busy fixing theirs. And what do they say? Nothing. No thank you. No change. Just another excuse. And still, you try again. Why? Because you think helping them makes you the better person. No. It makes you the easier target. You don't need to be anyone's emotional crutch. You don't need to clean up after people who enjoy making messes. You don't need to lose sleep over someone who doesn't even blink when they hurt you. Helping someone who doesn't want to change is like screaming in a storm. Your voice disappears, and the storm rages on. Do you know how powerful it is to say, "That's not my battle to fight"? How freeing it is to step back and let people face their own consequences. Because you cannot want healing more than they do. You cannot drag someone out of darkness if they've made a home in it. Sometimes love is letting go, not holding tight. Sometimes loyalty is distance, not presence. Sometimes kindness is walking away before they pull you under too. You weren't born to carry the weight of everyone's refusal to evolve. You weren't meant to bleed for people who would never even hand you a bandage. Let people sit in the consequences of their choices. Let them learn from silence, not lectures. Let them hit their own rock bottom. because that's where real change begins. Not in your comfort, not in your rescue, but in their own realization. You can still love them from afar, you can still wish them well, but don't you dare keep showing up for someone who won't even take the first step toward change themselves. Silence is a language only the wise truly understand. It is not emptiness. It is not weakness. It is restraint, control, power wrapped in poise. While the world screams to be heard, the strongest person in the room is the one who doesn't need to raise their voice to prove their point. Think about it. How many times have you been pulled into a pointless argument, where the louder you got, the less anyone listened? You've been pulled into a pointless argument where the louder you got, the less anyone listened. You walked away exhausted, misunderstood, and still unheard. That's because yelling doesn't build respect. Silence does. Silence says, I could respond, but you're not worth the storm I'd unleash. Take the classic situation. You're in a relationship, and they start a fight over something meaningless. Instead of communicating, they throw accusations. They push your buttons. You want to explode. You want to defend yourself, to explain, but instead you walk away, not because you're defeated, but because you chose peace over chaos. That's silence. That's your strength talking. People underestimate silence because it doesn't come with fireworks. But silence is where truth lives. When someone ignores your silence, they've already shown they were never interested in understanding you, only in overpowering you. But when someone is shaken by your quietness, it means your energy speaks louder than their noise. There's this story of a woman who was constantly belittled by her so-called best friend. Every time she achieved something, the friend would mock it. Every time she opened up, the friend would dismiss her. She kept trying to explain, to defend herself, to fix the misunderstanding. And then one day, she stopped replying. No texts, no explanations, no emotional outbursts, just silence. Weeks later, that same friend came, just the silence. Weeks later, that same friend came back with a message. Why are you so distant? And in that moment she knew her silence had echoed louder than years of words. You don't always need to reply to disrespect. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not engage. You don't need to have the last word. You are the last word. Let them argue with the echo of your absence. Let them feel the weight of your silence, the void of your presence. Because once a calm person chooses to go silent, it's not peace, it's the end. Even at work, this power shows. You're in a meeting, someone tries to provoke you, undermine you in front of others. Most people lash out or try to defend their competence. But imagine saying nothing, just holding their immaturity echo in the room. That silence, that's dominance without aggression. That's control without chaos. Silence also teaches people how to treat you. When you always respond, always explain, always react, you teach them they can push your buttons and get a performance. But when you respond with stillness, they realize your peace is not up for debate. You don't need to prove your worth through arguments. You don't need to scream to be right. Because truth doesn't beg to be believed. It just is. And silence is truth's most loyal companion. You've got to understand that silence is not giving up. It's rising above. is saying, I value my inner peace more than your opinion of me. It's walking away from a storm you could destroy, but choose not to. And the real magic? People remember silence. Words fade. Screams get tuned out. But that one moment you didn't reply, that lingers. That haunts, that teaches. So when you feel the urge to clap back, to fight, to explain, pause. Breathe. And remember, the lion doesn't respond to barking dog. The queen doesn't attend every argument she's invited to. And your silence, when rooted in self-respect, will always speak volumes louder than your voice ever could. There is a very thin line between support and control. And if you don't recognize it early, it will strangle your independence in the name of love. Some people won't chain your body, they'll chain your choices. And they'll call it care. They'll call it, I just want what's best for you. But what they're really saying is, I want you to do what makes me feel comfortable. Support says, I believe in you, even if I don't understand your path. Control says, I'll only be here if you do it my way. And trust me, when someone tries to direct every move you make, it's not love, it's fear dressed in affection. It's insecurity camouflaged as concern. Real support doesn't clip your wings. It hands you the wind. Let me paint you a picture. You're a woman with dreams. You want to start a business. You tell your partner, hoping for a smile, a hug, something. But instead they say, I don't think that's realistic. What if it fails? You start to doubt. Maybe they're right. But here's the thing. If someone can talk you out of your dream with a sentence, it wasn't just their words. It was their control you were listening to. Support would have said, I may not get it, but I'll stand beside you while you chase it. Control is so sneaky. It doesn't always come with shouting or slamming doors. Sometimes it's the subtle stuff. The friend who always criticizes your new hobbies, your fashion choices, the way you speak up now. They say you've changed. And that's exactly the point. You have changed. You grew. They didn't. They say I'm just being honest, but the truth is they want the old version of you. The one that was easier to influence. Support holds space. Control makes rules. Support asks, how can I help you grow? Control demands, why aren't you doing it my way? Take a look at your circle. That friend who always needs to approve your plans before you make a move, are they supporting or steering you? That parent who guilt trips you every time you don't take their advice, are they guiding you or governing you? It's not just in relationships or families. Even in friendships, this dynamic plays out. You want to move to a new city, take a risk, live your truth, and suddenly your friend says, so you're leaving me now? That's not love. That's emotional blackmail. Support celebrates your courage. Control mourns your independence. And it gets deeper. Sometimes you are the one confusing support and control in your own mind. You stay in toxic environments because someone says, I'm only hard on you because I care. No. You don't have to accept emotional manipulation as concern. You don't have to earn support by being obedient. Love doesn't mean ownership. You're not a puppet performing for applause. You're a person with a voice, a choice, a direction. Do you know how many dreams die not because they weren't good, but because someone they trusted disguised control as support? People say she gave up. No, she didn't give up. She was drained, controlled, guilt-tripped, out of her purpose. Don't let that be your story. Ask yourself this: if I stop listening to them, would they still be there? Because support stays even when you take a different path. Control leaves when it loses power over you. You deserve people who fuel your fire, not those who fuel your flame. You deserve relationships where you're free to expand, explore, express, without walking on eggshells or asking for permission. Your life isn't a democracy run by other people's insecurities. And love that limits you isn't love, it's possession. So start recognizing who lifts you and who just wants to lead you. Because when you know the difference, you stop confusing chains for care, and you start choosing freedom over false protection. You were not born to be everyone's healer, everyone's motivator, everyone's emotional dump yard. You deserve to be surrounded by people who pour back into you the same way you pour into them. The world has too many takers and not enough givers. So if you're always the one checking in, always the one fixing, always the one showing up, ask yourself this: who shows up for me? It's easy to get trapped in relationships where you're the strong one, the advice giver, the listener, the emotional therapist. But strength without reciprocity is slow poison. You wake up one day emotionally bankrupt, drained from caring others who never even asked if you needed a break. And still, they'll call you selfish the day you stop showing up. Imagine being a phone on 1% and still giving others your charger. You're not helping, you're dying slowly. There's a difference between kindness and self-destruction, between being compassionate and being used. You need people in your life who don't just ask what's wrong, but ask how can I help. People who don't vanish the moment your light dims. People who check on you even when you say, I'm fine, because they can feel you're not. You need friends who remind you of your worth when you forget it, who celebrate your growth, not compete with it, and who don't just clap when you win, but stand with you when you fail. There's a girl I know. She was everyone's shoulder. When someone's heart broke, they ran to her. When someone lost their job, she stayed on the phone all night. When someone failed, she helped them rebuild. But when she fell, nobody noticed. She went silent. Days passed, not one message, not one call. And that's when she realized she was their savior, but they weren't her shelter. So people think when you have no money, they want to save you. But when she failed, she was their savior, but they weren't her shelter. They want to save you. But when she failed, nobody said that to her. Nobody told her that. She didn't cry. That's not love. That's imbalance. Love in any form, friendship, family, or romance, is supposed to be mutual restoration. Not one person watering the garden while the other just picks the flowers. Think of your energy like currency. Would you give all your money to someone who never pays you back? Of course not. So why are you giving all your time, all your love, all your presence to people who leave your cup empty? You deserve people who say, rest, I got this. People who hear your silence louder than your words. People who uplift you when you doubt yourself, and who push you forward without needing anything in return. Your tribe should not drain you, they should sustain you. And if you have to beg someone to be there, they're not your tribe. They're just passing through, collecting the parts of you that are easy to love. When you start surrounding yourself with people who pour back into you, everything shifts. Your energy changes. Your standards rise. Your peace becomes non-negotiable. And you stop apologizing for needing the same love you give so freely. There's power in saying, I'm done pouring into cups that never fill mine. Because the right people, they'll notice when your glass is half empty and bring a full pitcher without being asked. You weren't born to be a well for people who never intended to bring water. You weren't made to feel guilty for expecting effort, loyalty, presence. You're not too much. You've just been giving too much to people who give too little. So take a step back. Look at your circle. Who lights you up? Who dims your fire? Who listens when you speak? Not just waits to respond. Cut the noise. Keep the gold. Because at the end of the day, you need people who don't just take your hand when you're strong, but who hold your soul when you're shattered. People who remind you that you matter too. Not just as a helper, not just as a listener, not just as a strong one, but as a human being who deserves to be held, heard, and healed. You've given so much of yourself to people who never even said thank you. You've smiled through exhaustion, laughed through disappointment, and stayed silent when you should have screamed. But hear this now. The version of you that bends until they break is done. The version of you that carries people who never once offered a hand back is evolving. From this moment on, you rise not to please others, but to protect your own peace. Because you don't owe anyone the pieces of yourself they keep walking over. Your energy is a sacred currency. Stop spending it on people who only bring chaos into your life. Stop watering deserts. You are not here to be drained. You are here to be valued. And if they can't see your worth, let them walk. Let them leave. Let them miss the energy they never deserved. Don't chase people. Be yourself. Do your thing. Work hard. The right people, the ones who truly belong in your life, they'll come. And they'll stay. You don't have to beg to be understood. You don't have to explain why your heart beats so loud for others. Protect it, guard it, and only open it to those who deserve the keys. Every time you give and get nothing back, you're writing a silent story of self-betrayal. And eventually, even the strongest souls burn out, trying to light up someone else's darkness. But not anymore. Now, you protect your spark like it's the last fire on earth. You don't let just anyone touch your light. Remember, you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. So choose wisely. Surround yourself with builders, not breakers. People who plant, not those who pluck. People who ignite, not those who extinguish. People who remind you that your presence is a gift, not a convenience. There is no award for being the most available, the most forgiving, the most used. Let that sink in. Stop shrinking yourself to fit into people's shallow expectations. Stop waiting for closure from people who never gave you clarity. You owe it to your future self to stop settling for less. Think of this as your rebirth. The chapter where you stop chasing broken friendships and start creating healthy boundaries. The part where you stop asking, what did I do wrong? And start affirming, I deserve more. The moment you stop knocking on closed doors and start building your own palace, brick by brick, boundary by boundary, value by value. And yes, it might get lonely. The light always burns brightest alone before it finds the right reflection. But don't fear solitude. In silence, you hear your true voice. In stillness, you find your true strength. And when you finally stop pouring into the wrong people, you'll have room for the right ones to find you. Say it out loud. I am done entertaining energy that drains me. I am done fixing people who don't want healing. I am done mistaking control for love. I am done showing up for people who never show up for me. From now on, I choose me. Because choosing yourself is not selfish. It's necessary. It's revolutionary. And one day, someone will look at how fiercely you protected your light and thank you for not letting the world dim it. So walk with grace, stand with fire, speak with truth, love with standards, and never forget, you are not a backup plan. You are not a second choice. You are not a temporary fix. You are the storm, the calm, the art, the force. You are the one they'll remember when silence echoes louder than words, when presence becomes rare, when love becomes real. Let them talk. Let them go. Let them wonder how they lost someone like you. Because the day you stopped giving to everyone and started giving to yourself, that was the day you became untouchable.